Hello. Okay, so let's begin. Puhar or Kaviripatnam was the port of which of the following dynasty? Puhar or Kaviripatnam. Now, Puhar and Kaviripatnam all are in South India, and they belong to the port of Chola dynasty, the Cholas. Puhar, also known as Kaviripatnam, so it's the same port. Not two. These are not two different ports. These are the same port. Puhar, also known as Kaviripatnam, was a famous port city of the Chola dynasty. Puhar was one of the most important trading port of ancient South India and played a major role in maritime trade during the Sangam age. Located near the mouth of Kaveri River on the eastern coast of India, the city became an important center for trade, commerce, shipping, and cultural exchange. The Chola used Puhar for extensive overseas trade with regions such as Rome, Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, and China. So the Cholas had a very active trade, active international trade. They used to trade with the Rome, Southeast Asian countries, Java, Sumatra, all these islands, Southeast Asian islands, Sri Lanka. Of course, Sri Lanka was the closest, so they used to trade a lot with Sri Lanka as well as China. So Puhar, also known as Kaveri Patnam, was a port of which of the following dynasty? Chola dynasty. Chola dynasty. As you can see, the question has already been asked in regard with the important port cities of various empires. So we must be aware about important port cities of Cholas, important port cities of Pandyas, Cheras, Vakatakas, Pallavas, Satavahanas, all these important dynasties. Okay, next. Who among the following revolutionaries was associated with Swadesh Bandhav Samiti? Swadesh Bandhav Samiti. Who was associated with them? So it was Ashwini Kumar Datta. Ashwini Kumar Datta. Ashwini Kumar Datta was associated with Swadesh Bandhav Samiti. The Swadesh Bandhav Samiti was a nationalist organization founded during the period of Swadeshi movement after the partition of Bengal in 1905 by Lord Curzon. So Ashwini Kumar Datta established the organization mainly in Barisal, present-day Bangladesh, to promote Swadeshi goods, national education, political awareness, social service, boycott of British goods. The Samiti was very influential among students and common people and played an important role in spreading nationalist ideas in Bengal. It organized schools, relief activities, and public campaign to strengthen the Swadeshi movement against the British colonial policies. The other options, the first one is Chandrasekhar Azad. Chandrasekhar Azad was one of the most famous revolutionary leader of Indian freedom struggle. He became associated with the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association and played a major role in reorganizing revolutionary activities after the death of Ram Prasad Bismil. And Chandrasekhar Azad is one of those individuals who believed in armed rebellion, armed protest against the British. He is also associated with Kakori conspiracy, Saunders assassination conspiracy. Now, Saunders assassination conspiracy was very, very important because Chandrasekhar Azad, not only Chandrasekhar Azad, but even individuals like Bhagat Singh, they are also associated with Saunders, Saunders assassination conspiracy. And in the previous video, I had already explained what was this conspiracy, who planned it, what they wanted to achieve, right? Then there is also a revolutionary underground movement that happened across the whole Indian national movement. So Chandrasekhar Azad is also affiliated with that. He became famous for his pledge that the British would never capture him alive. In 1931, surrounded by the police at Alfred Park in Allahabad, he shot himself with his last bullet to avoid arrest. Because of his courage and sacrifice, Azad became one of the greatest revolutionary symbols of India's freedom struggle. Then there is Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh is regarded as one of the most iconic revolutionaries of Indian independence movement. He was deeply influenced by the socialist and revolutionary ideas and became associated with the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. Bhagat Singh gained national fame after participating in the assassination of John Saunders in 1928 to avenge the death of Lala Lajpat Rai. Later, along with Batukeshwar Dutt, he threw non-lethal bombs in the Central Legislative Assembly in 1929 to protest against the repressive British laws. So this is again one very revolutionary thing that Bhagat Singh did. Bhagat Singh, the first thing, very, very important thing that he is associated with is the assassination of John Saunders, who was ASP of British police. And he assassinated him in 1928 to avenge the death of Lala Lajpat Rai because he believed that John Saunders had ordered lathi charge, and in that lathi charge, Lala Lajpat Rai was severely injured, and eventually Lala Lajpat Rai succumbed to his injuries and he died. Later, along with Batukeshwar Dutt, he even threw non-lethal bombs in Central Legislative Assembly in 1929 to protest against the repressive British law. So these are the two things that Bhagat Singh is associated with, and he is one of the greatest revolutionaries that this country has ever had. During his imprisonment, Bhagat Singh became widely admired for his political writings, fearlessness, hunger strike, and revolutionary ideology. He was executed in 1931 along with Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev Thapar, becoming a martyr and national hero. So, two other individuals who are very much associated with Bhagat Singh and who are also considered equally revolutionary are Shivaram Rajguru as well as Sukhdev. Shivaram Rajguru and Sukhdev. So, remember their name also. They are also very, very important. Huh? You need to remember their name. Yes, the voice comment. So two other individuals who are very much associated. I think the voice is all right. Moving on. Audio is all right. I mean. Rajguru. Who's Rajguru? Shivram Rajguru was revolutionary freedom fighter associated with Bhagat Singh and Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. He participated in the assassination of the British police officer John Saunders in Lahore 1928. So he is also participating in the same assassination as the Bhagat Singh is participating. So Shivram Rajguru and Bhagat Singh participated in the assassination of John Saunders, who was a British police officer. Rajguru was known for his bravery, marksmanship, and dedication to the revolutionary activities against the British rule. Along with Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev, he was arrested and later executed in 1931. The trio became enduring symbol of revolutionary patriotism and sacrifice in India's freedom movement. So, along with Bhagat Singh and Sukhdev, he was arrested and later executed in 1931. Rajguru, Sukhdev, and Bhagat Singh uh, all were killed on the same day in 1931. All right. So this is very important. And the answer to this particular question, who among the following revolutionaries was associated with Swadesh Bandhav Samiti? The answer is Ashwini Kumar Datta. Ashwini Kumar Datta. Next, based on Macaulay's merit, the English Education Act was introduced in what? In which year? English Education Act. So the answer is 1835. 1835. 1835. What is the whole matter? Let's understand. Macaulay's Minute was a famous document written in 1835 by Thomas Babington Macaulay during the rule of the Lord William Bentinck in British India. So at that point of time, Lord William Bentinck was the Governor General. At that time, a major debate was going on among the British officials regarding the type of education that should be promoted in India. There were two groups, Orientalists and Anglicists. The Orientalists supported traditional Indian education in Sanskrit, Persian, and Arabic, while the Anglicists wanted Western education through the English language. So, two groups in the English bloc had already been established. One was the Orientalist and the other was the Anglicist. Orientalist means the one who want to promote education in Indian languages. Anglicists mean the one who want to promote education in English language. So the Orientalists supported traditional Indian education in Sanskrit, Persian, and Arabic because they thought it would be easy for the English for the Indians to understand these languages. While because they have been familiar with this language now, they have been familiar with Sanskrit for hundreds of years, for thousands of years. Mughals used to use Persian in their court, so a lot of Indians understood Persian. Arabic was very influential because a lot of Arabian traders used to come to India. They used to come. They used to come all across India. So they thought that the Orientalists thought that it would be easy for the Indians to understand this language, and we must promote education in the Orientalist languages. While the Anglicists wanted Western education throughout the English language, they said no. If we are giving Western education, we must only give it in English language so that Indians anglicize. And if they anglicize, they will also start buying our product. India will become our market. India will start buying our product. The Western influence will dominate Indian mentality, and Indians will sort of become a consumer of not only English thought but also English product. So that was the whole idea behind Anglicist thinking. Macaulay strongly supported the Anglist view in his Minute. Minute is a document. Minute is an official document, official documented opinion. So in his Minute, he argued that English literature Western science, philosophy, and modern knowledge were superior to the traditional Indian learning. He famously claimed that a single shelf of good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. The statement later became highly controversial because it showed the dismissive attitude towards Indian knowledge, system, and literature. So this is one quote that he's saying. A single shelf of good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. Macaulay believed that the British government should spend education fund on promoting English language, Western sciences, European literature, and modern philosophy. These are the four things that Macaulay wanted the British Indian government to be spending money on, instead of supporting Sanskrit and Persian institutions. His main objective was to create a class of Indians who would assist the British administration. He described the objective as creating people who were Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, opinion, morals, and intellect. Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, opinion, morals, and intellect. Based on Macaulay's recommendation, the British government passed the English Education Act of 1835, which officially promoted English medium education in India. Impact of Macaulay's Minute. Macaulay's Minute had a huge impact on Indian society and education. It led to spread of English education, growth of Western ideas and scientific thinking, rise of an educated middle class, development of modern journalism and political awareness, and emergence of social reform movement. So Macaulay Minute. So two very important things that you have to remember in terms of Macaulay. The first, he said that that a single shelf of good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia, which is again a very racist thing to say, and that clearly showcases his bias towards English language. And if an individual of this mentality is going to be given the charge to make a report on in regard to which language it should be used to provide education to Indian. Of course, he will always favor the European language, and English is a European language. And the second thing that he said, which is very, very important, is Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, opinion, morals, and intellect. These are the kind of Indians he wanted to make. These are the kind of people he wanted to create in India. People who were Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, opinion, morals, and intellect. Right? So because of all these recommendations, the British government passed the English Education Act of 1835, which officially promoted English medium language in India. Impact, what was the impact of Macaulay's Minute? Impact of Macaulay's Minute had a huge impact on Indian society and education. It led to spread of English education, growth of Western ideas and scientific thinking, rise of an educated middle class. Now, this rise of an educated middle class will lead to creation of individuals like Dadabhai Naroji and Surendranath Banerjee. Bal Gangadhar Tilak, because all these people were educated, very well educated in English language. They had a chance because they came from such background that they had a chance to be educated properly. And these individuals will lead the protest against India. So these individuals proved that even if you get educated in English language and you get all the Western education at your disposal, but you still can be loyal to India, but you still can be loyal and patriotic, and you can still be a patriot. You do not have to um, become an Englishman and support the English mentality, right? So these individuals proved Macaulay wrong in many ways. Okay, so why was it called Macaulay's Minute? If a lot of you might be thinking that minute means 60 seconds, but no, it is called Macaulay's Minute because it was formal written note or official memorandum prepared by Thomas Babington Macaulay in 1835. In British administration language, the word minute did not actually meant 60 seconds. It referred to an official written statement, note, or detailed opinion submitted by a government official on an important issue. Such minutes were commonly recorded in administrative files and council discussions during the British rule. So Macaulay's Minute simply means the official written opinion of Macaulay. Macaulay's Minute means the official written opinion of Macaulay. Okay, minute only means that an official written opinion of that individual. Moving on. Identify the freedom fighters who, as a child, hated going to school and found it suffocating and oppressive. So that is Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore found, as a child, hated going to school and found it suffocating and oppressive. Rabindranath Tagore, as a child, disliked going to school and described the traditional schooling system as suffocating and oppressive. Tagore felt that rigid discipline, closed classroom, rote learning, and mechanical teaching methods of colonial schools restricted creativity and natural learning. He believed that education should be joyful, free, creative, and closely connected with nature rather than based on memorization and strict discipline. Because of these experiments, Tagore later developed his own educational policy and established Vishwa Bharati University at Santiniketan. So if they ask you what was the university that was established by Rabindranath Tagore, see, this is again a very easy question for them to ask. And you must know this, that the name of the university that was established by Rabindranath Tagore is Vishwa Bharati University at Santiniketan. Therefore, he promoted open air education, artistic development, freedom of thought, and learning through the interaction with nature and culture. Tagore became one of the greatest literary and cultural figures of modern India. He was the first Asian to win Nobel Prize. We know that. First Indian to win Nobel Prize in Literature for Gitanjali, which was a poem that he has written. So remember few things about Rabindranath Tagore because he is a very, very important figure. Also, the father of Rabindranath Tagore was a civil servant, civil service, the first Indian to crack the civil service exam. Civil service exam, even to this day, is considered as the most prestigious exam in the country. So imagine at that point of time when the exam itself was only held in London. So for an individual to travel to, and also the exam was held in London and it was only held in English language. And you need to aware about the whole syllabus that was basically primarily about things that were happening in English administration. So for an individual at that point of time to crack this exam, it would have been the most incredible thing to do. And Rabindranath Tagore's father did it. So that basically allowed Rabindranath Tagore to have good quality education because his father was a civil servant. So he had access to very good education, and he was also in close contact with the Britishers because he grew up in that atmosphere where his father's friends would have been most of the civil servants, and most of the civil servants, or rather 99% of the civil servants, high ranking civil servant in India during the British time were white Europeans, were white Englishmen, right? Also, the procedure of becoming a civil servant heavily favored the Europeans. So remember these things also, that Rabindranath Tagore. These are one of those reasons why Rabindranath Tagore would eventually end up becoming a Nobel Peace Prize winner, because first of all he will have a chance to be educated, get quality education, and secondly he is also in close contact with the Britishers. So these are the few things which would make him an individual who will attain such greatness. Moving on. Okay, unfortunately I hadn't rubbed it off. So now you already know the answer. After the dash, Mahatma Gandhi called off the non-cooperation movement. So it is Chora Chori incident. Chora Chori incident was a violent attack. Let's know what it was. After the Chora Chori incident, Mahatma Gandhi called off the non-cooperation movement in 1922. Remember the date, 1922. The Chora Chori incident took place in Gorakhpur district of present-day Uttar Pradesh on 5th February 1922. During a protest against the British rule, a clash occurred between the demonstrators and the police. The police fired on the crowd, which enraged the protesters. In retaliation, the crowd attacked and burned the police station, resulting in the death of several policemen. So, what happened? The people were protesting against the British rule. Clash occurred between demonstrators and the police. The people who are protesting, there was a conflict between them and the police. The police fired on the crowd, and because the crowd had already outnumbered the police, they were enraged. So what they did, they set the whole police station on fire. They burned the police station, resulting in the death of several policemen. Where was it happening? It was happening in Gorakhpur in Uttar Pradesh. Gandhi strongly believed in ahimsa, non-violence. He said that if we are going to achieve freedom, we will only achieve by non-violence. We are not going to make use of any violent measure. So, as a foundation of freedom, ahimsa, non-violence is a foundation of the freedom struggle. He believed that the movement was turning violent and that the people were not yet fully prepared for a disciplined non-violent resistance. Because of this, he decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement despite opposition from several nationalist leaders. The decision disappointed many leaders such as Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru. These individuals were against Gandhi's decision. They said that, these kind of little skimmerish will happen, little violence, can happen. If the police is going to fire on the people will retaliate. It's not that the people have done it aggressively or actively on their own. They were fired upon first and then they decided to retaliate. But Gandhi believed that no matter what happens, you cannot go violent. You always have to be following the path of ahimsa, right? So, and the other opinions are wrong because, of course, roundtable conference was held in 1930s. Three roundtable conference will be held. Partition of Bengal happened in 1905 when Jallianwala Bagh massacre actually increased nationalist anger and helped strengthen anti-British movement rather than ending the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so the answer to this is Chauri Chora incident. After the Chauri Chora incident, Mahatma Gandhi called off the non-cooperation movement. Next. Oh man, I haven't rubbed so many. I think I should have done it. Yeah, so only 3, 4 are there where there are connotations. Let me just rub it. Okay. After the which of the following statement is correct with respect to Sangam literature? This is a very important question because Sangam literature is one of those topic which all the exams consider very important. Sangam literature is particularly about the history of ancient history of South India. So which of the following statement is correct with respect to Sangam literature? First statement, these texts were supposed to be composed and compiled in assemblies of poets. Second, the Sangam literature compiled in assemblies of poets were held in the city of Madurai. These texts were supposed to be composed and compiled in assembly of poets. The Sangam literature compiled in assembly of poets were held in the city of Madurai. So, what is Sangam literature? Sangam literature is basically various assemblies will be held where literature in the language of Tamil is going to be compiled. Now, who is going to compile these literatures? Who's going to compile these texts? It is going to be the poets. So these texts were supposed to be composed and compiled in the assembly of poets. True, this is true. Second, these Sangam literatures compiled in assemblies of poets were held in the city of Madurai. Now, Sangam literature or Sangam assemblies are going to be patronized by Pandya rulers. And Pandya rulers ruled from their capital, Madurai. So, yes, these were held in the city of Madurai. First Sangam is held in Madurai, ancient Madurai, which is not the current day Madurai. And third Sangam is held in the current Madurai. So, first Sangam is held in a city which is considered ancient Madurai. That city does not exist anymore. That city has sunken. That city has sunk. And third Sangam, third Sangam assembly is held in the current city of Madurai. In the current city of Madurai. Second Sangam is held in a city called Kapatpuram, and that city has also sunk. That city also does not exist anymore. So this city does not exist, ancient Madurai. Kapatpuram does not exist, only Madurai exists. So the Sangam literature compiled in assemblies of poets were held in the city of Madurai. Obviously, the first two, second and third are happening in Madurai. It hasn't given you ancient Madurai or modern Madurai. Even if it gave you modern Madurai, then also yes, the third Sangam is happening in modern Madurai. So yes, this is also true. Both are true. Both 1 and 2 are true. Both 1 and 2 are true. Now let's come to the explanation. This is very important. Everything that we read in this, please read very carefully. I'm going to just rub it so I can eventually then explain everything to you. Okay. This is very important. Sangam period. All right. Just give me a second. Just a second. Hmm. Hmm. Let's look at the explanation. Sangam period refers to the earliest known body of Tamil literature and is closely associated with assemblies of poets. Hold on. Just a second. Let me connect the charger. So the Sangam literature refers to the earliest body of Tamil literature and is closely associated with assemblies of poets and scholars known as Sangams. Known as Sangams. According to ancient Tamil tradition, these literary works were compiled and well composed and compiled in a scholarly gathering where poets presented the compositions before learned assemblies. Therefore, the statement that Sangam texts were composed and compiled in assemblies of poets is considered correct. These Sangam assemblies are traditionally believed to have been held in Madurai under the patronage of Pandya rulers. Madurai became an important literary and cultural center in ancient South India. The Sangam literature is historically very important because it provides detailed information about the social, economic, political, and cultural life of ancient Tamil society. So this is brief about Sangam period. Then we come to the first Sangam. I told you three Sangam have happened. How many? Three. Three Sangams have happened. So let's study the first Sangam. The first Sangam is believed to be the earliest Tamil literary academy. According to the tradition, it was held in the city called Madurai or the southern Madurai, which is said to have been located in land that later submerged under the sea. This idea is connected with Tamil legend of the lost continent known as Kumari Kandam. So they basically called there was a subcontinent that existed according to Tamil literature. There was a subcontinent at some point of time which existed right at the south of India called as Kumari Kandam. And Kumari Kandam eventually sunk. Kandam was eventually submerged in the sea. All right. And that Kumari Kandam contained a city, and the name of that city is Madurai, ancient Madurai. The assembly was patronized by early Pandya kings who were considered protectors of Tamil language and culture. Now, traditional accounts claim that the first Sangam lasted for extraordinarily long periods, sometimes said to be around 4,400 years. It was attended by gods, sages, and great poets. Even the Hindu deity Shiva and sage Agastya are believed to be had to have participated in this Sangam. Agastya occupied a central position in the Tamil tradition because he is considered as one of the earliest promoters of Tamil grammar and literature. Tamil tradition often credits him with spreading Tamil civilization in the south. So, who is credited with spreading Tamil civilization in the south? It is Sage Agastya Rishi. The first Sangam is said to have had thousands of poets and many Pandya rulers associated with it. Some accounts mention that 4,449 poets participated. The literature produced during this Sangam is believed to have been enormous, but almost all of it is supposedly lost when the city was submerged by the sea. Because of this, no complete literary work from the first Sangam period survived today. So, from the first Sangam assembly, there is absolutely no literature that has survived. Because of this one reason, many historians say that first Sangam actually never happened. Only the second and the third Sangam happened. But just to put light on the grandiorness of the second Sangam, just to make people feel that this Sangam, this assembly which is happening is so important and prominent. A lot of folklore was created around it, that when the first Sangam had happened, sage Agastya himself attended it, Lord Shiva himself attended it. So people will pay a lot attention to the text which is being compiled in the second Sangam, and uh, and it will be preserved by the future generations, right? So if you are only doing it for the sake of art and culture, then people don't like to preserve it. But now that you have attached the name of Lord Shiva, and now your cultural and religious existence is dependent upon it, then people take it very seriously. So this is one of the hypotheses. I'm not claiming that what I'm saying is true. This is just one of the hypotheses. Okay. Also remember, no complete literary work from the first Sangam survived today. But we do know about few things that might have been compiled. One important text associated with this period is Agatyam, a grammar work attributed to Agastya. However, This text is lost and historians debate whether it actually existed in the form described in the legends. So people say that Agathyam was compiled, and Agathyam is a grammar work done on the language of Tamil, probably done by a sage Agastya. But then again, however, the text is lost. We don't have access to the text. And historians debate whether it actually even existed in the form as it is described in the legends. The Agathyam is believed to have dealt with the Tamil grammar, phonetics, and literary rules. Later Tamil grammatical tradition often refer it with great respect. So later Tamil grammatical tradition often refer to it with great respect. Later Tamil grammatical tradition, not the earlier ones. So we again don't know whether it actually existed or not. But if they ever ask you with whom, if the name one particular text which is associated with the first Sangam period, and they give you four options, then you must be able to recognize Agathyam, because this is the only text that we are aware of about that might have been compiled in the first Sangam period. But again, we don't have access to the original Agathyam. And who has composed it? Sage Agastya. Sage Agastya. Political background of the first Sangam is associated with early Pandya kingdom. The Pandya were one of the three major Tamil dynasties. Who are the three major Tamil dynasties? The Cholas, the Cheras, and the Pandyas. The Pandya rulers portrayed the tradition as great patrons of learning. The Sangam assemblies helped strengthen the connection between the kingship and literary culture. Poets praised kings, warriors, poets praised kings, warriors, generosity, bravery, and social values, while the kings rewarded the poets with wealth and recognition. Very simple transaction that used to happen between the kings and the poets. The poets will write great things about the kings, and the king will give them some money and some land and some recognition. Same, it has happened till the modern India, and it happens even to this day. You see a lot of poets and journalists saying great things about the leader, and the leader gives them advertisement, right? So this even happens to this day. In all the in all the political world, this has happened throughout, right? Nothing new. Then we come to the second Sangam. After the destruction of the first Sangam, city by the sea, tradition states that the surviving scholars and poets moved to city called Kapatpuram. This became the center of the second Sangam. I told you Kapatpuram, second Sangam is happening in Kapatpuram. This became the second. So when Kumari Kandam submerged underwater, Kumari Kandam had the city of Madurai, ancient Madurai. Then all the people who survived, they traveled to the city of Kapatpuram. This became the center of the second Sangam. Like the first Sangam, the second Sangam was also patronized by the Pandya kings. It is said to have continued for over 3,700 years, and according to traditional account. The second Sangam is considered more historically meaningful than the first Sangam because some literary and grammatical tradition associated with it survived indirectly. Though most of the work of this Sangam are also believed to have been lost, one extremely important text connected with this period is Tolakappiyam. The Tolakappiyam is the oldest surviving Tamil grammatical work and one of the oldest extant work of Tamil literature. Needless to say, extremely, extremely, extremely important for you to know this particular line. The Tolkappiyam is oldest surviving Tamil grammatical work and one of the oldest extant work of Tamil literature. Needless to say, very, very important. If easiest question that can be asked in any exam, which is the oldest surviving Tamil grammatical work? Tolkappiyam. Who is writing Tolkappiyam? Tolkappiyar. Tolkappiyar. See, Agastya Rishi is writing something, so what it is called? Agathyam. Agastya. Agathyam. Agathyam. Tolkappiyar. Tolkappiyam. It was written by Tolkappiyar, who is traditionally believed to have been a disciple of Agastya. So Tolkappiyar is a disciple of Agastya. The text is not just a grammar book, it also discusses poetry, society, emotion, human behavior, politics, and cultural practices. Because of this, it is considered both a linguistic and cultural document. The Tolkappiyam divides Tamil grammar and literary theory into three sections: Azuthu, Soul, Porul. Now, this is where it gets a bit complex for you if you are reading it for the first time. So pay a lot of attention. Tolkappiyam divides Tamil grammar and literary theory into three sections. So, Tolkappiyam contains Tamil grammar, and Tamil grammar is divided into three sections. First is Azuthu. What is Azuthu? Grammar that deals with letters and phonetics. Letters and the sound you are supposed to make while pronouncing those letters. That is Azuthu. Then Soul, dealing with words and grammars. Dealing with words and grammars is Soul. And then there is Porul. Porul is dealing with subject matter, emotion, society, and literary subject, basically. What you're talking about, what you're trying to convey, that is in Porul. So there is Tolkappiyam. Tolkappiyam has Tamil grammar. Tamil grammar is divided according to Tolkappiyam. Tamil grammar is divided into Azuthu, Soul, and Porul. Porul itself is divided into Akam and Puram. Akam and Puram. Akam has all the internal emotions, internal and personal themes such as love, emotion, separation, relationships. And Puram refers to external themes such as war, kingship, heroism, charity, and public life. So Akam, everything which is inside, Puram, everything which is outside. Akam, Puram. Akam, everything which is inside, emotions, love, compassion. Puram, everything which is outside, war, kingship, heroism, charity, public life. So again, I will tell this to you. Tolkappiyam has divided Tamil grammar and literary theory into three sections. What are the three sections? Azuthu, Soul, Porul. Porul is divided into Akam and Puram. Only Porul is divided into Akam and Puram because the rest two are technical. The rest two are dealing with, the Azuthu is dealing with letters and phonetics, Soul is dealing with words and grammar. So how you're going to put Akam and Puram into this? Akam is about emotions, Puram is about kingship, polity. So how, you can't put polity and kingship in all these two things, but you can definitely put it in Porul. So Porul is divided into Akam and Puram. You must remember this. Questions have been asked in the past with Akam and Puram. Akam and Puram have been asked in CGL as well as civil services. So please remember that. Moving on. Just rub this. There is no confusion. The second Sangam tradition reflects more organized literary culture. Tamil poetry was governed by the detailed grammatical and aesthetic rules. Poets followed strict conventions regarding themes, landscape, emotions, and symbolisms. Nature played a central role in poetry. Different geographical regions called Tinai were associated with a specific emotion and human situation. For example, Kurinji, Kurinji or mountain region. So what's happening in the Sangam, second Sangam literature? Poets are using different geographical landscape to convey different emotions. We even do this today. Even today, we compare our lover to moon, right? We compare love to moon or lover to moon. So they are also doing that in the second Sangam literature. They are using the word Kurinji. Kurinji means mountainous region in Tamil. So they are using Kurinji to represent union of lovers. Now, what is the context to it? For why are they using it? Then you will have to understand the context behind it, and for that you will have to read Tolkappiyam. So instead of that, just remember Kurinji is mountainous region, and it is representing union of lovers. Then there is Mulai, which is the forest region, and it is representing waiting and patience. Mulai is representing waiting and patience, the forest region. Marutham is the agricultural land, and it is representing domestic life and corals, prosperous life, domestic life and corals. Neethal is seashore, and it is representing separation and longing. So even to this day, seas are in a way seen with a lot of melancholy, right? Seashore and these places, because you can understand that you only visit at that point of time, you would only visit seashore if somebody is leaving and somebody is going on a distant land. on different places. So that is why it must have represented separation and longing. And Palai, which is the desert region, it represented hardship and dangerous journeys, obviously. Desert only represents things which are dangerous. Desert does not represent love or affection. So desert or Palai represented hardship and dangerous journeys. Like the first Sangam period, like the first Sangam, the second Sangam also connected with the legends of submergence and loss. Kapatpuram itself is said to have eventually been destroyed by the sea. Because of this catastrophe, most literary work of the second Sangam were supposedly lost, only fragmented and traditional survived into the centuries. So most of the work even done in second Sangam period is also lost. Very few have survived. Remember that, okay? Historians generally believe that the stories of the first two Sangam contain a mixture of mythology and historical memory. That, yeah, something would have happened, but most of it is exaggerated. The exact dates and durations of the number of poets are not accepted entirely literally because they appear exaggerated. However, these traditions probably preserve memories of ancient literary gatherings and gradual evolution of Tamil culture over many centuries. And then comes the most important Sangam, which is the third Sangam. The third Sangam is the extremely important Sangam. The third Sangam is considered the most historically important and comparatively reliable of the three Sangam assemblies because of a large body of literature from this period has survived. According to the Tamil tradition, after the destruction of the second Sangam at Kapathapuram due to the submergence by sea, scholars and poets moved once again and established the third Sangam at present-day Madurai under the patronage of Pandya kings. Unlike the first two Sangams, whose work were almost completely destroyed, the literature of the third Sangam survived in substantial quantities and formed the foundation of classical Tamil literature. The third Sangam is generally placed between approximately 300 BCE and 300 CE. So it went on for 600 years. For 600 years, 300 BC to 300 CE. By the modern historians, though some scholars extend the range slightly earlier or later, yeah, 1 or 200 years here and there, who cares? This period is often called Sangam Age in South Indian history. It represents a mixture of immature phase of Tamil language, literature, trade, politics, and social organization. The surviving work of this period provide direct information about the society, economy, warfare, religion, and daily life of ancient Tamilakam. What does Tamilakam mean? Tamilakam is the Tamil-speaking region of South India. So at that point of time, Tamil was spoken in it was spoken in Tamil Nadu. It was also spoken in eastern and southeastern part of Kerala, and it was also spoken in the southern part of Andhra. So that a whole area became Tamilakam because it was dominated by the Pandya rulers who called themselves as the preservers of Tamil language. Okay. So the literary work of the third Sangam were composed by the numerous poets belonging to different social backgrounds. Unlike many ancient literary traditions dominated only by the priest or elite, Sangam literature included contribution from king, merchant, warriors, women, wanderers, bards, farmers, and even people from the lower social groups, because of which it becomes very important. This diversity gives Sangam literature a realistic and human character. Around 473 poets traditionally associated with Sangam literature, though exact number differ in various sources. The third Sangam was centered in Madurai of the Pandya kingdom. Madurai emerged as a major political, cultural, and commercial center during this period. The Pandya rulers acted as patrons of poets and scholars. Poets often visited royal courts where they recited poems praising kings' military victories, generosity, and heroism. In return, king rewarded poets with gold, land, gifts, and honors. The patronage system encouraged literary production and preserved Tamil cultural traditions. So this is the third Sangam and why the third Sangam happened. Carrying on, we need to learn more about it. The literature of the third Sangam is mainly divided into two major contributions, Etuttokai and Pattu Pattu. Etuttokai means 10 anthologies. 10 anthologies means 10 literary stories, 10 epics, 10 literature, and 10 10 idols. I think that's how you're supposed to say it. Then idols means what? So idols mean extremely happy, peaceful, or something that you would like to recall, picture, scene, or period of time. So Pattu Pattu is basically about those 10 extremely happy, peaceful work or movement, right? So third Tamil literature is divided into Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu. These work collectively contain thousands of poems dealing with love, war, epics, politics, trade, and social life. That is Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu. Atuttukai includes important anthologies as these four: Akannuru, Purananuru, Kuruntokai, and Narrinai, and others. And Pattu Pattu contains longer poems often dedicated to kings, cities, gods, and landscapes. Together, these texts form the core of Sangam literature. So, again, you must be able to recall these names, Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu, that if they ask you that according to third Sangam literature, the Tamil literature is divided into what parts? Then you must be able to recall the name that yes, the third Tamil literature divided the third Sangam literature divided the Tamil literature into Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu. Okay. One of the most important feature of the third Sangam literature is the division between Akam and Puram. We have discussed Akam and Puram. Akam and Puram, all the Sangam literature is actually divided between Akam and Puram. Akam is every emotion which is felt inwards. Puram is everything that is happening outwards. Okay? Which had already been discussed in Tolakappiyam. We have discussed it. Akam poetry focused on personal emotion, especially love and relationship. These poems explored themes such as secret meetings, separation, waiting, longing, and marriage. The names of individuals were usually not mentioned directly because the emphasis was on universal emotion rather than a specific historical event. So, see, this is very clever thing. The poets at that point of time, they did not used to mention the name of the individual while writing, so that the focus is on the emotion and not on the person. Because if you mention someone's name, then suddenly we start thinking about that person. It is easier to imagine a person, but very hard to imagine that emotion. But that the poets of that point of time understood this. That is why they never mentioned the name. They only mentioned the emotion and the sequence of events, so that your whole focus would be on the universal human emotion and not on the specific historical event. Then comes the Puram poetry. On the other hand, dealt with public life. It focused on warfare, bravery, kingship, charity, death in battle, ethics, and social values. Kings and warriors were praised for courage and generosity. These poems provide valuable historical information about political condition, military campaign, and ideals of Tamil society. So obviously, Puram is everything which is happening outwards. So all the historical information, political condition, military campaign, and all these things which are happening in the society are mentioned in the Puram poetry all across the Sangam period. And all the things which are happening inwards, the universal emotions that humans feel, those things are written in Akam. So Tamil poetry is divided into two parts, Akam and Puram. And also third Sangam is particularly divided into two parts, which is Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu. Okay, moving on. The social structure during the third Sangam was comparatively flexible compared to the rigid caste system. So at that point of time, the caste system has not become that rigid. Society was organized around occupation, clan, and kingship groups. Warriors, farmers, traders, fishermen, shepherds, and artisans all played important roles. Women enjoyed relatively higher visibility in the Sangam literature than in many other ancient traditions. Female poets such as Avai, now remember this date again, this becomes very important because very few female poets you will see at that point of time in any culture. So if you are able to if you are able to find a female's name in ancient India, then that in ancient India, and that too, that female is contributing in the intellectual library of the culture, then please remember the name. So female poet names such as Abayar gained great respect. Women are portrayed as intelligent, emotional, courageous, and active participants in social life. So they are not just seen as people who will bring children to society. They are seeing something who some as someone who can bring um, quality to the intellectual side of who can build who can bring who can enhance their mind, who can become who are intelligent, who are emotional, who are courageous, who are active participants in social life. They are not just to stay in house and take care of the household things and bring kids to life. No, they have more work to do in that society. So society is not very rigid. Society is comparatively flexible. But as soon as the later Vedic period will begin and the influence of later Vedic period will hit South India, you will see very rigid society where casteism will peak, society where where the condition of women will deteriorate significantly, and we will then move on to that side of history. Okay, so this is the period, this is the place which we are talking about. This is the Pandya kingdom. This is where Sangam, all the Sangam period and everything is happening. This is the Pandya kingdom. This is where everything is happening. This particular region is disputed between the Pandyas and the Cheras. This is the early Chola kingdom. Early Chola kingdom. Okay. So Chol, Cher, and Pandyas. And this is Cheras. And we are talking about this region. Okay. Pandya. Moving on. Let's try to understand a little bit about the economy of that point of time. So we have more information. So this is a comprehensive understanding of the Sangam period for you for SSC examination. I don't think you will require anything beyond this to answer question if asked about the Sangam period. Until and unless the question is extremely hard, which you should not try to focus on. Most of the questions are comparatively moderate and easy. Some are easy, most are moderate, then some are tough. You are not in under any obligation to answer tough questions. You will be able to get very high marks even if you answer only moderates and easy questions. Okay, so please, that should be your first focus. Moving on, economically, the third Sangam age was highly prosperous. Sangam literature and archaeological evidence show extensive trade network connecting South India with Roman Empire, Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, and northern India. Roman gold coins have been found in large number in Tamil regions, proving active trade relations. Tamil merchant exported pepper, pearl, ivory, precious stones, fine textiles, and spices while importing gold, wine, horses, and luxury goods. Ports such as Puhar we have already studied. Puhar was also known as Kaveripatnam. Muziris and Korkai became important commercial centers. The Tamil coast participated actively in Indian Ocean trade. Foreign traders, including Romans, referred to as Yavanas. So the Romans are being referred as Yavanas in Sangam text, visited Tamil port regularly. This trade contributed greatly in urbanization and economic growth. So the Yavan not only used to visit North India, they also used to visit South India. And they used to visit through the port cities of Puhar and Muziris, Korkai. And they used to do a lot of trade, which resulted in the urbanization of the whole region. So religion during the Sangam period reflected a mixture of indigenous Tamil beliefs and Vedic influence. People worship deities associated with different landscapes. नहीं नहीं हम देखा. Ports such as Puhar, Muziris, Korkai became important commercial centers. The Tamil coast participated actively in Indian Ocean trade. Foreign traders, including Romans referred to as Yavanas in Sangam texts, visited Tamil ports regularly. This trade contributed greatly in urbanization and economic growth. Religion during the Sangam age reflected a mixture of indigenous Tamil belief and Vedic influences. People worshipped deities associated with different landscape occupations. Murugan was especially important and was associated with hills and warfare. Other popular deities included Mayon, later identified as Vishnu. So at that point of time, people are following a religion which is a mix of Vedic religion and local Tamil beliefs. So now Vedic religion is starting up at somewhere around 1600 BC. But by during that point of time, the people living in that region, the Tamil region, South India, they had their own beliefs also. So when the Sangam period, Sangam age started, Sangam age started, you know, Sangam age started seeping deep into the south, you will see that there is a mix of Vedic as well as local Tamil beliefs which are taking shape. People are worshipping deities associated with different landscapes and occupation. Murugan was especially important and associated with hills and warfare. So now this Murugan is probably a local Tamil uh, god who is being worshipped at that point of time. And then other popular deities are also there, like Mayon. So the people of that region are calling Vishnu as Mayon, and Potravai, a war goddess, and Sion. They are worshipping these things, worshipping these deities. Ancestor worship and hero stones, Nadukal, were common. So hero stones are called as Nadukal. What does that show? That shows that people respect military sacrifices. People respect an individual who lays down his life trying to protect his territory, trying to protect his people, his tribe, his region. Hero stones were erected in the memory of warriors who died in battle, reflecting the martial value in the society. So, society also has martial value. That if somebody is dying for the land, protecting the land, then hero stones are going to be erected in his memory. Gradually, the Vedic religion and Brahmanical influences spread into the Tamilakam through contacts with northern India. Brahmins began receiving patronage from Tamil rulers. References to Yagya, Vedic rituals, and Sanskrit ideas appear in later Sangam work. However, Tamil society retained its distinct cultural identity despite these influences. So, slowly and slowly, Vedic religion will reach, and the Brahmanical influence is going to spread into Tamilakam through contacts with northern India, and Brahmins began receiving patronage from Tamil rulers. Just like Brahmins were receiving a lot of patronage in the North India from the rulers, they will also begin receiving a lot of patronage from the South Indian rulers. References to Yagya, Vedic rituals, and Sanskrit ideas appear in later Sanskrit work. However, Tamil society retained the distinct cultural identity despite these influences. The decline of the third Sangam period occurred gradually after around 3rd century CE. Political instability, Kalabhra invasions, and changing social conditions attributed to the weakening of the Sangam age order. Over time, devotional bhakti movement and dedicated and bhakti movements dedicated to Shiva and Vishnu became dominant in South India, replacing the earlier secular and heroic emphasis of Sangam literature. So this is Sangam period. Very important. Three Sangam assemblies are happening. We studied it. First Sangam assembly is happening in ancient Madurai. Second Sangam assembly is happening in Kapatpuram. Third Sangam assembly is happening in modern Madurai. Text regarding the first Sangam assembly. Which text do we have? Agatyam. Agatyam is written by Agastya. It is a work on grammar, Tamil grammar. Second Sangam, what literary work do we have? Tolakappiyam, written by Tolakappiyar, divided into two parts, and they are using Azuthu, Sol, and Porul. Azuthu is, what is Azuthu? Remember? Azuthu is dealing with grammars and phonetics. This is happening in second Sangam period. Azuthu and Soul is dealing with words and grammar, and Porul is dealing with subject matter, emotion, and society. Then Porul is divided into two parts, Agam and Puram. Agam is related to internal emotion, and Puram is related to outward, everything which is happening around. Then we come to the third, and then they are also using various geographical landscapes to showcase various emotions. For example, Kurinji, which is the mountainous region, is representing union of lovers. Mulai, which is the forest region, represents waiting and patience. Maruthal, agricultural land, which represent domestic life and quarrels. Neethal represented the separation and longing. Palai represented hardship and dangerous journeys. Palai is desert region. These things you must remember, because again, from all the examinations that I have observed, I can tell that this is one of those questions that can be asked. Like the Sangam, like the first Sangam, the second Sangam also connected with the legends of submergence and loss. Kapatpuram again gets submerged, and we don't know what happened to it. We don't know whether it actually existed or not. We don't know. Because of this catastrophe, most of the literary work of the second Sangam is also lost. Only fragments of the tradition survived onto the later centuries. Historians generally believe that the stories of the first two Sangams contain a mix of mythology and history, memory. Then comes the most important, the third Sangam. Third Sangam happened in current Madurai, the modern Madurai. And it happened during the time between 500 BC to 300 BC to 300 CE. So it probably went on for 600 years. And it happened in Tamilakam region, obviously, the Tamil speaking region was again patronized by the Pandya rulers. Important work were written. We have a lot of examples of it. Approximately 473 poets participated into it. You don't have to remember the name, remember the number. I don't think these kind of question can be asked. Then the literature of the third Sangam is mainly divided into two major collections. What are those two major collections? Atuttukai and Pattu Pattu. Atuttukai are 10 anthologies, Pattu Pattu is 10 idyls. Then there are various anthology and names. If you can just go through them. So if you ever see them in examination, you might be able to recall. If a question regarding these names are asked, then that question will come in the bracket of extremely difficult questions. Most of the people will not have any idea about it. So if you're just able to recall that, okay, these things I have studied them somewhere. If you're able to recall that, yeah, these names are related to third Sangam period, I think you will be able to answer the question, right? The Pattu Pattu contains longer poem and dedicated to king cities, gods, landscapes. Together, these texts form the core of Sangam literature. Moving and then we have studied Tolakappiyam. It was happening in the second. It was compiled in the second Sangam period, and then we studied it all. Yeah, these are the things. Avayyar. Avayyar is a name of the female who is also contributing in the third Sangam period. Avayyar. Remember the name as well. So this is it. This is from the Sangam period. All right, and we have studied. Also remember the name of the gods, because this thing can also be asked. Murugan was especially important and was associated with hills and warfare. What they are calling Vishnu, they are calling him as Mayon. Mayon is identified as Vishnu. Kotravai is a war goddess, and Ceylon is also being worshipped. Ancestor worship hero stones. What is the name of hero stone? Nadukal. What they are calling hero stones is Nadukal. And they also this what does hero stone showcase? That there are martial values in the society. Martial values that society is respecting if someone is laying down their life for protecting the people. So this was the Sangam period. Sangam period. Okay. Studied a lot about Sangam period. So I hope you will be able to answer questions regarding it now. Moving on. The first English factory in Bengal was set up on the bank of river Hooghly in 1651. 1651. 1651. Okay. The first English factory in Bengal was established in 1651 on the bank of river Hooghly by the British East India Company during the Mughal period. The factory marked the beginning of English commercial presence in Bengal, which later became the center of the British political and economic power in India. The English received permission from the Mughal authorities to establish these trading factories at Hooghly. At the time, Bengal was one of the richest provinces of the Mughal Empire and was famous for its prosperous agriculture, textile production, river trade, and handicrafts. The English were mainly interested in profitable trade and exported goods such as silk, cotton, textiles, sugar, indigo, and saltpeter from Bengal to Europe. The factory functioned as a trading center, warehouse, and residence for English merchants and officials. From this early commercial base, the English gradually expanded their influence in Bengal and established more settlements and forts. Later, they founded important centers such as Calcutta and Fort Williams, which became major centers of British administration and trade. Over time, the British East India Company moved from trade to political control. Their growing influence in Bengal eventually led to the decisive events such as Battle of Plassey. When will Battle of Plassey happen? It will happen in 1757, and Battle of Buxar will happen in 1764. Battle of Buxar is considered as the final nail in the coffin of the Mughals or even the local North Indian rulers, because in Battle of Buxar, three Indian empire, the Mughal, the Bengal, and the Awadh, all three will fight together against the Britishers, and the British army is being led by Major Hector Munro, and the British army will win. They will defeat all three Indian kingdoms together, and then they will be forced to sign Treaty of Allahabad. As per Treaty of Allahabad, the Britishers will get Diwane rights. What is Diwan rights? The right to collect revenue from Bengal, which will eventually become the heartland of the British trade in Southeast Asia, and they will make a lot of money. Basically, that's what's going to happen. Moving on. Who among the following gave up traditional profession and took up arms, successfully establishing the kingdom in Karnataka? Very, very good question. Because this question is from an individual from an empire which is not much talked about. So who is that individual who gave up his traditional profession and took up arms, successfully establishing the kingdom in Karnataka? We are talking about Kadam Mayur Sharman. Kadamba Mayur Sharman. He establishes Kadamba dynasty. Kadamba dynasty is the first native Kannada speaking dynasty. Should I attach something where I can write so I'll be able to teach better? I'll do it in the next class. So I'll be teaching you. So I'll also be able to write more things. Okay. Coming here, what I'm saying? I am saying Kadamba Mayur Sharman. Mayur Sharman, also known as Mayur Sharma, also known as Mayur Sharman, was the person who gave up traditional profession and took up arms to establish a kingdom in Karnataka. He became the founder of the Kadamba dynasty, one of the earliest native ruling dynasties in Karnataka region. So Kadamba Mayur Sharman is basically finding whatever is laying the foundation of Kadamba dynasty. Kadamba dynasty is the first native Kannada speaking dynasty in the region. According to inscription and historical tradition, Mayur Sharma or Mayur Sharman was originally a Brahmin who had gone to Kanchi to pursue Vedic education and scholarly studies. During this period, Kanchi was an important center of learning under the Pallavas. However, it is believed that he was insulted or humiliated by the Pallava soldier or Pallava officials or soldiers. This incident deeply affected him and transformed his life. So, Kadam Mayur Sharman. Sharman is Brahmins. Brahmins, even in the Vedas, they are referring Brahmins as Sharmans. So he was a Brahmin and he had gone to Kanchi to get educated, to get his Vedic education done. But then he was insulted by the Pallava rulers. And then he decided to teach them a lesson. So what he did? As a result, Mayur Sharman abandoned his scholarly pursuit and adopted a warfare. He organized resistance against the Pallavas and gradually built military strength in the Karnataka region. Eventually, he succeeded in establishing an independent kingdom and laid the foundation of the Kadamba dynasty. The Kadambas are historically significant because they were among the first local dynasty to rule Karnataka independently. First local dynasty to rule Karnataka independently. They also promoted regional culture and administration and are remembered for encouraging the use of Kannada language. This is important. This can be asked. The first dynasty to use Kannada language, the first native dynasty to use Kannada language, Kadamba Mayur Sharman, Kadamba. They remembered for encouraging the use of Kannada language in inscription and official administration. First dynasty to use Kannada in inscription and official administration. Their use marked the growth of regional political power in South India and also decline of the larger imperial structures. The other options are incorrect because Vasudev Kanv founded the Kanva dynasty and Shungas. After the Shungas, Harichand was associated with Gurjar Pratihar dynasty and Pushyamitra Shunga established the Shunga dynasty after overthrowing the Mauryas. So Kadamba dynasty, let's get to know a bit about Kadamba dynasty. Kadamba dynasty was one of the earliest native dynasty of the Karnataka and played a major role in political and cultural history of South India. The dynasty is historically important because it marked the rise of an indigenous Kannada-speaking power in Deccan after centuries of domination by the larger imperial dynasties such as the Satavahanas and the Pallavas. The Kadamba dynasty was founded in the 4th century CE by Mayur Sharma, also known as Mayur Sharman. According to the famous Talagunda inscription, Mayur Sharma was originally a Brahmin who had gone to Kanchi to study Vedas. Kanchi was an important educational center under the Pallavas. During his stay there, Mayur Sharma was allegedly insulted by the Pallava soldiers or officials. This humiliation changed his life completely. He abandoned his scholarly career, took up arms, and organized military resistance against the Pallavas. Gradually, he established control over the territories in Karnataka and founded the independent kingdom. So that's what he did. During his stay, Mayur Sharma was allegedly, during when he was staying in Kachi, he was insulted by the Pallava soldiers and officials, and this humiliation changed his life completely. He abandoned his scholarly career and took up arms and organized military resistance against the Pallavas. This story is historically significant because it reflects both social mobility and the emergence of the regional political powers in the medieval South India. The cap the capital of the Kadamba kingdom was Banavasi. So this you have to remember obviously. The capital of all the regions you must remember. This is a very important question that they keep on asking. The capital of this dynasty, the capital of that dynasty. So the capital of the Kadamba dynasty is Banavasi. Located in the present day Karnataka, Banavasi became an important center of administration, religion and culture. Kadambas ruled mainly over parts of present day Karnataka, Goa, and western Maharashtra. So these are the places where they are actually ruling, right? What are those places? If they ever ask you that what was the region where they actually ruled, so they ruled in the parts of Karnataka, Goa, and western Maharashtra. Karnataka, Goa, western Maharashtra. They ruled in these parts. Moving on. The dynasty flourished roughly between the 4th to 6th century CE, although later branches of the Kadambas continued to survive in different regions after the decline of the main line. One of the greatest contribution of the Kadamba was the promotion of Kannada language. This question can be asked any time. Which dynasty, which native dynasty started the use of Kannada language? This question can be asked any time. The Kadambas were among the hold on. Huh. The Kadambas were among the earliest dynasties to use Kannada in administration and inscriptions. Before this period, Prakrit and Sanskrit dominated the official record in many parts of India. The Kadambas encouraged a regional linguistic identity and played a major role in development of the Kannada literature and culture. The famous Halmidi inscription, which is considered as one of the earliest known Kannada inscription, belongs broadly to the Kadamba period. Although Sanskrit continued to be respected and widely used, the rise of the Kannada language under the Kadambas became a turning point in South Indian linguistic history. Kadambas administration followed a monarchical system with the king as the supreme authority. The kingdom was divided into provinces and local administrative government by the officials and local chiefs, by administrative units governed by the officials and local chiefs. The dynasty also maintained military forces to protect its territories against the neighboring powers such as the Pallavas, Gangas, and Vakatakas. So these are the three main rivals of Kadam. The Shikar, which became a distinctive style of temple tower architecture in Karnataka. This style is characterized by the pyramid-shaped tower rising in simple stepped form. Later, South Indian dynasty adopted and modified elements of Kadamba architecture. Important ruler of the Kadamba dynasty include Mayur Sharma, Kangavarma, Bhagiratha, Raghu, and Kukusthavarma. These are the five important rulers of Kadamba dynasty. But Kakusthavarma is considered one of the most powerful rulers. Under him, the dynasty achieved political prestige and established matrimonial alliances with important ruling families of India, including the Guptas and Vakatakas. So when Guptas had to get political political power, so what did the Guptas do? Guptas married the Lichavi princess. Chandragupta the first, who is considered the first powerful Gupta ruler, he married the Lichavi princess Kumara Devi. And when the Kadamba rulers had to get political admiration by the people, when they had to get political acknowledgement by the people, what did they do? They married the Guptas. They established under Kokusta Verma, they established matrimonial alliance with Guptas. Same thing is being done. If you want to establish yourself in the eyes of the people, you might be militarily very strong, but the people will see you as a normal human being. If you have, lived in their in the same city, in the same town, and after a few days they realize that, oh, now you are the king. They will not see you as a king until and unless you marry yourself in a family or you do something, because marriage is seen as a union of two families. So if you marry yourself in a family, then suddenly they will see you as politically very powerful, because now your name is aligned or affiliated with a family whose name they take with a lot of pride, right? So you might be a very humble human being, but now suddenly, because your name is affiliated with this particular family, with the Lichavis or the Guptas or the Vakatakas who have been ruling for hundreds of years, suddenly you become more, suddenly you there is more prestige attached to your name and more power. Now we come to important kings. The first one is the Kukustavarma. Kukustavarma was one of the greatest and most powerful rulers of the Kadamba dynasty. His reign marked the peak of the Kadamba political prestige and influence in South India. The most important thing about the Kukustavarma was that he established matrimonial alliances with several powerful royal dynasties of India, including the Gupta Empire and the Vakataka dynasty. These alliances greatly increased the prestige and diplomatic importance of the Kadamba kingdom. His period is generally regarded as golden phase of the Kadamba power because the dynasty achieved the maximum political recognition and influence during his rule. So two people that you have to remember of the Kadamba dynasty is, the first is the founder of this dynasty, which is Kadamba Mayur Sharman, and you also have to remember his story because question, as you can see, has been asked regarding the backstory of Kadamba Mayur Sharman, and that question can again be repeated. One more thing that you have to remember is that Kadamba is the first dynasty that is using Kannada as a local language. Kannada is the first native dynasty which is using Kannada in their administrative records. Okay, they are promoting the local Kannada culture. Then the second important ruler that you have to, and then you also should remember that the capital of the Kannada kingdom was Banavasi in the present day Karnataka. They are ruling this area, this region. It's a short-lived dynasty from 4th century to 6th century CE for 200 years. The most powerful, then there is also Halmidi inscription, the famous Halmidi inscription, which is considered one of the earliest known Kannada inscription, belongs broadly to the Kadamba period. This is also somewhat important. The most important ruler of the Kadamba period is Kukustavarma. Why is he most important? Because he will turn the kingdom into very powerful kingdom, and he will also form matrimonial alliances with the Guptas and the Vakatakas, because of which his name will be taken with a lot of pride and prestige. So Kukustavarma did matrimonial alliances with the Guptas and the Vakatakas. Okay. The time period of Kukustavarma is regarded as the golden phase of Kadamba power. So that is an important thing that we just studied. Moving on. Babur ruled over Delhi till which year? So Babur came to India in 1526 and he ruled for 4 years. So till 1530 he is ruling. 1530. 1530. Now Babur has incredible story. Incredible story. If you study about the life of Babur, there is so much to learn. Yes, of course, he was an invader and he came to India and he uh, defeated Ibrahim Lodi, finished off the Lodi Empire, the Afghan supremacy in India, and started his own empire. Of course, these are the things that you must remember. But then there is so much more to remember. What is there to remember? Let's study. Let's study. Hold on a second. Yes. So Babur ruled over Delhi till the year 1530. Babur was the founder of the Mughal Empire in India. Originally a ruler from Central Asia, Babur was descended from Timur on his father's side and Genghis Khan on his mother's side. After facing difficulty in Central Asia, he turned his attention towards India and eventually invaded North India. In 1526, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi in the last battle of Panipat, in the first battle of Panipat, sorry. So 1526, Babur is clashing with Ibrahim Lodi in the first battle of Panipat. What is the life of Babur? Babur, whose full name is Zahiruddin Muhammad Babur, was the founder of Mughal Empire in India. He was born in 1483 at Andijan in Fargana, located in the present-day Uzbekistan. Babur belonged to the Timurid dynasty and profoundly claimed descent from Timur on his father's side and from Genghis Khan on his mother's side. Because of this lineage, he considered himself heir to the great Central Asian imperial tradition. So Babur claimed that from one side he belongs to Temur and from other side he belongs to Genghis Khan. From his father's side he belongs to Temur and from his mother's side he belongs to Genghis Khan. So that is one of the reasons which made him a great invader, because Timur and Genghis Khan both were invaders. Babur's life became very difficult from a very young age. After the death of his father, he became the ruler of Fargana at the age of only 12. However, his early years were full of rebellions, conspiracies, and military struggles. His greatest ambition at that time was to capture Samarkand, one of the most prestigious cities of the Central Asia. He succeeded briefly, but could not hold on to it for long because of the strong opposition from Uzbek ruler Muhammad Shaybani Khan. Repeated defeats forced Babur to leave much of Central Asia. After losing the ancestral territories, Babur shifted his attention towards Afghanistan and captured Kabul in 1504. Kabul became his main power base. From there, he consolidated his strength and began looking towards India. At that time, North India was ruled by the Lodi dynasty under Ibrahim Lodi. Many Afghan nobles were dissatisfied with this. Is very important, and most of the people don't know about it actually. That many Afghan nobles were very dissatisfied with Ibrahim Lodi and invited Babur to invade India, and that led to First Battle of Panipat, where Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi. This battle is one of the most important events in Indian history because it ended the Delhi Sultanate and established Mughal rule in India. Babur's victory was remarkable because his army was smaller, yet he used superior military tactics and gunpowder artillery effectively. He used the Tulugma strategy, which involved flanking attacks and Arba system, where carts were tied together to protect artillery position. Also, the first battle of Panipat is considered as the first major battle in India where gunpowder was used on a large scale. So the first large battle where gunpowder was properly used by an army was First Battle of Panipat, and gunpowder was used by Babur. Babur. Hmm? After winning Panipat, Babur captured Delhi and Agra and became the ruler of North India. However, his position was still insecure because the powerful Rajput rulers challenged him. The greatest challenge came from Rana Sanga, who organized the Rajput confederacy against Babur. In 1527, Babur fought the Battle of Khanwa against Rana Sanga. So 1526, he is fighting Panipat, First Battle of Panipat against Ibrahim Lodi, and he's defeating Ibrahim Lodi. But now that there is a new ruler on Delhi, even Rana Sanga would want to dominate the region. So what will Babur do now? Babur right next year, in 1527, he will go on a battle against Rana Sanga of Khanwa, and the battle will be known as Battle of Khanwa. This battle was extremely important because Babur's victory established Mughal supremacy in North India. Before the battle, Babur declared jihad against the Rajputs and adopted the title of Ghazi. So when did Babur adopt the title of Ghazi? Babur adopted the title of Ghazi right before Battle of Khanwa, so that he can charge up his army, that they are going on a war against this king who belongs to a different community, and so he wanted to charge up his army, and that is why he adopted the title of Ghazi, and he defeated Rana Sanga. Okay, meaning victorious warrior of Islam. God, what does Ghazi mean? He adopted the title of Ghazi. What does Ghazi mean? Victorious warrior of Islam. After Khanwa, Babur continued expanding his control. In 1528, he defeated Medini Rai in the Battle of Chanderi. So in 1528, he defeats Medini Rai in the Battle of Chanderi. which strengthened the Mughal authority in central India. In 1529, he fought the Battle of Khagra against Afghan chief and Sultan of Bengal. This victory further consolidated Mughal control over North India. So, Battle of Ghagra, he fought in 1529. So, remember, 1526, the first Battle of Panipat. Then 1527, Battle of Khanba against Rana Sanga. Then 1528, Battle of Chanderi against Afghans, against Medini Rai. And then 1529, Battle of Ghagra against Afghans. So every single year he is going on a major battle, major war. The first year when he comes to India, he's going on a war against Ibrahim Lodi. The very next year he's going on a war against Rana Sanga. The very next year he's going on a war against Medini Rai. Right? And then the very next year he's going on a war against the left Afghan chief. So Ibrahim Lodi was an Afghan. When Ibrahim Lodi was defeated and killed, the rest of the Lodhis and the rest of the Afghans, Afghan ministers, they exiled towards Bengal and Bihar. So they ran to Bengal and Bihar to gain protection from Babur. And in Bengal and Bihar, they were plotting something against him. When he realized, he decided to finally end them in Battle of Ghagra, and he defeated them, destroyed them. So this is 1529. And then in 1530, he died. Although Babur ruled India only from 1526 to 1530, he laid the strong military and political foundation of the Mughal Empire, which later expanded greatly under his grandson Akbar. So Babur is ruling for a very small period of time, but he is creating a very strong military and political foundation, because of which the Mughals will become very, very powerful. Babur was not just a conqueror, but also a cultured and educated ruler. He loved poetry, gardens, music, and literature. He introduced the Persian Central Asian style of gardens into India, which later came to be known as the Mughal Gardens. He also wrote autobiography called Baburnama, which is considered one of the most valuable historical work of the medieval India, written originally in Chagatai Turkish. The Baburnama gives detailed information about Babur's life, battles, administration, observations about India, geography, climate, parts, plants, animals, and society. Historians admire it because Babur wrote honestly about his strengths and weaknesses. So Baburnama is an autobiography written by Babur himself. Babur died in 1530 at Agra, according to tradition, and when his son Humayun became seriously ill, Babur prayed for his recovery and symbolically offered his own life in exchange. Soon afterward, Humayun recovered while Babur's health declined. Babur was first buried in Agra, but later his body was moved to Kabul according to his wish. So this is Babur. This is Babur. Very, very powerful and very, very important ruler of Delhi and the founder of Mughal Empire. He had a very extraordinary life. If you look at it from his childhood all the way to his future, all the way to um, establishing the proper empire, had a very different kind of a life and very adventurous one. Right. Moving on. The bill which provided for the trial of British or European persons by India was, we have studied it. We have studied it. This was done during the time of Lord Ripon or Lord Ripon, and the bill is called Ilbert Bill. We have already studied it in the previous video, so you must go and watch it. What is Ilbert Bill? The bill which provided for the trial of the British or European persons by the Indian judges called Ilbert Bill, introduced in 1883 during the administration of Lord Ripon. The bill was named after the Courtney Ilbert, who was the law member of the Victoria or the Viceroy's Council. At that time, the British judicial system in India was based heavily on the racial discrimination. Even highly educated and experienced Indian judges were generally not allowed to try European British subjects in the criminal cases. Europeans could only be tried by the European judges. This showed that the British considered Indians inferior and unfit to exercise authority over Europeans. The Ilbert Bill attempted to remove this inequality by allowing senior Indian district magistrate and session judges to try European offenders in criminal cases. The main objective of the bill was to establish greater judicial equality between Indians and Europeans within the colonial legal system. However, the bill created intense opposition among the European community in India. British officials, businessmen, planters, and settlers launched aggressive protests against it. Many Europeans openly claimed that the Indians were incapable of fairly judging Europeans. Racist propaganda campaigns were carried out and public meetings were organized to oppose the bill. European women were also used in emotional propaganda, where opponents argued that the English women would not be safe if tried by Indian judges. So see the amount of racism that the Britishers had in themselves. The British government eventually weakened the bill under the European pressure. The final modified version allowed Europeans to demand jury trials in which at least half of the jurors had to be European or Americans. Thus, the original principle of the complete judicial equality was diluted. Even though the bill was weakened, the Ilbert controversy became historically very important. It exposed the racial arrogance and discriminatory mindset of the British colonial rule. Educated Indians realized that despite British claims of justice and equality, racial superiority still dominated the administration. The controversy also helped strengthen the early Indian nationalism and increased political consciousness among educated Indians. It became one of the events that contributed to the growth of organized political activity in India before the establishment of the Indian National Congress in 1885. So all this is happening before the establishment of Indian National Congress, because the Ilbert Bill controversy is happening in 1883 and Indian National Congress is being formed in 1885. So all that is happening before. Thus, Ilbert Bill controversy became a major turning point in revealing the racial nature of the British rule and in awakening political awareness. Ilbert Bill. Moving on. The duration of the Mesolithic period is from dash year to dash year. Mesolithic period actually started at the right at the end of the Paleolithic period, and when did the Paleolithic period end? It ended at somewhere around 10,000 BCE. And Mesolithic period is considered as the transitional phase between the Paleolithic age and Neolithic age. Neolithic age begins at somewhere around 700 BCE. So 10,000 to 7,000 should be the right answer. Yes, 10,000, 7,000. Mesolithic started from 10,000 years ago and uh, went on till 7,000 years ago. I hope you'll be able to remember this, because again, these kind of questions, they're usually questions regarding exact date and all are not asked, but whenever they are asked, just remember them so that you'll be able to recall them very nicely. Moving on, let's study about it. The Mesolithic period generally lasted from around 10,000 years ago to 7,000 years ago. The Mesolithic age is also known as the Middle Stone Age. Now, Paleolithic age from 2 million years ago to 10,000 years ago. All Paleolithic age is basically as soon as the humans started using stone tools to the beginning of the time period when humans had started to use some refined stone tools. So it took us almost 20 lakh years, 2 million years. What is Paleolithic or old Stone Age? Earliest phase of human history. Earliest phase of human history. What we are using? We are using large stone tools, large and rough stone tools. We are nomadic hunters and gatherers. Hunting, food gathering, discovery of fire, cave. These are the important development. What are the important development of Paleolithic? Hunting, obviously, we are using tool. We would be using it to hunt only now. Food gathering, discovery of fire. If you are going to hit one stone over the other, there will be spark, and there will be a time period when you will be able to recognize that okay, I can use this spark to actually generate fire, and that fire can be utilized to cook food, and more than that, to protect from other wild animals. Then also cave dwelling is also happening. We are also starting to dwell in caves. Of course, when there will be rough tools, rough stone tools, what you are going to do with those rough tools? You are going to use those rough tools to cave through in rough terrains, and you will be at some point of time you will be able to realize that yes, you can create natural shelter. So all these things are happening in Paleolithic age. Then comes the Mesolithic age. From about Mesolithic age, as I said, it's a transitional age. So it is very uh, so it is very new. It is very short lived, around 10,000 to 7,000. But the most important thing that happens during the Mesolithic age, the most important thing that you must remember is domestication of animal. We started to domesticate animal. We realize that we cannot always be hunters and gatherers, and we actually realize that these animals, if we domesticate them, if we feed them something, then they can act as natural containers of food. You can kill them whenever you want. They also provide protection. If you're able to domesticate dogs, then those dogs provide protection. And if you're able to domesticate sheep and goats, then those sheep and goats provide food eventually. And they also provide clothing, shelter, clothing. Sheep's, you can use the skin of a sheep, or you can derive wool out of sheep's. You can use skin of various animals to get warmth, because the ice age is going on around at that point of time, so you also need warmth. So all these things must have been recognized by our ancestors, and they were able to use it for their benefit. Then comes the most important, the Neolithic age, around 7,000 years ago. It started somewhere around 7,000 BCE. So if it is happening at somewhere around 7,000 BC, which was 9,000 years ago, it started. And this is the beginning of settled life and agriculture. The most important thing about Neolithic age is agriculture. Agriculture finally started. Wheel, we are discovering wheel. We are also making permanent houses. We are doing farming. Animal domestication carries on. We are also doing pottery. All these things we are doing in Neolithic age. So Neolithic age is a revolution. It is considered as revolutions. Think about it. From 2 million years till 10,000 BCE, we are only using stone tools, and we are using mostly rough tools. And just 7,000 BCE, at around 7,000 BCE, for the first time we started doing agriculture, because we discovered new age tools. And now, just look at us now. We are building AI, we are going to space. So that is why Neolithic age is called as a Neolithic revolution. That what we had not accomplished in 20 lakh years, we actually accomplished in 7,000 years, 7 to 9,000 years. So that is why it is known as revolution. Beginning of settled life and agriculture, polished stone tools, settled agricultural communities. So permanent settlement and agriculture are the most important feature of Neolithic. So if I ask you most important feature of all three ages, Paleolithic age, you must be able to say that Paleolithic age, hunters and gatherers, rough stone tools, cave dwelling. Hunters, basically hunters and gatherers, and rough stone tools. This is Paleolithic age, most important phase of Paleolithic, most important feature of Paleolithic age. Then comes Mesolithic age. What is the most important? What is that one feature that differentiates Mesolithic age from the other two ages? That is domestication of animal. Domestication of animal, and lith, or the stone tools are getting smaller. They have become microlith, small sharp stone tools. But we are still semi-settled in life. We are not permanently settled. So the most important thing that happened in Mesolithic age that you must remember, the date. First of all, the year, because of course it has already asked, you can see. And you must remember domestication of animals. Then comes Neolithic age. In Neolithic age, what is the one feature that differentiates it? There are a lot of features that differentiate it, but few features that make it a revolution are: first, farming, agriculture; second, permanent settle. Now that you have started farming, that you will settle, and you will rotate crops. You will grow wheat, rice, various crops, and now you will have to settle. Finally, you have the luxury of settling. You don't have to move from one place to other, because your food is right in front of you. So that can only happen when farming happens, and farming happened in Neolithic age. Understood? So there we have three ages. Feature. So this is for you. Paleolithic, Mesolithic, and Neolithic. Nature of life: fully nomadic, semi-nomadic, permanently settled. Main occupation: big game hunting, fish and small animal hunting, agriculture and farm. Tools: heavy stone tools, microlith, polished stone tools. Food pattern: pure food gathering, mixed food gathering and early production and food production. Housing: natural caves, temporary huts, and permanent mud brick houses. These are the few things. So this is the very important permanent mud brick houses, because I've seen these questions in the past. So that's why I'm telling you. This is a distinct feature of Neolithic age. Animal relation, wild animals and hunted only in initial domestication, and organized animal husbandry. Agriculture, there is no agriculture. Little bit of agriculture is there, but proper agriculture develops only in Neolithic period. Art form, very early art form. Detailed hunting rock painting you will see in the Bhimbetka cage, and over here there is very decorative pottery that you will see. Okay, social structure is small wandering bands, seasonal tribal groups, and over here it is organized village communities are forming in Neolithic period. So this is Neolithic period. I hope you learn it and you understand it. Moving on. Which of the following cities became the capital of Bengal in 1704? In 1704, what became the capital of Bengal? 1704. So it has to be Murshidabad. Murshidabad. And it was made by Murshid Quli Khan. Murshid Quli Khan, who was the governor at that point of time of Bengal. Nawab, governor, whatever you want to call it. Murshidabad became the capital of Bengal in 1704. The city was made capital by Murshid Quli Khan, who was the Mughal governor, Subadar of Bengal. Before this, the capital of Bengal was Dhaka. Murshid Quli Khan shifted capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad because of its strategic and commercial importance. The city soon became one of the richest and most prosperous centers in India during the early 18th century. Who was Murshid Quli Khan and his significance? Let's get to know about it. Murshid Quli Khan was one of the most important provincial ruler during the later Mughal period and is regarded as the founder of autonomous Nawabi rule in Bengal. Nawabi rule in Bengal. He played a major role in transforming Bengal into one of the richest and most prosperous provinces of India during early 18th century. Murshid Quli Khan originally served as a revenue officer under the Mughal Empire. Because of his administrative skill, discipline and efficiency in revenue collection, he gained the confidence of Aurangzeb and was appointed as the Diwan of Bengal. His primary responsibility was the revenue administration and financial management of the province. At that time, Bengal was one of the wealthiest regions of Mughal Empire because of its fertile agriculture, textile production, silk industry, river trade, and international commerce. Murshid Quli Khan reorganized the revenue system of Bengal and introduced strict methods of tax collection. He reduced the influence of many zamindars and strengthened the direct administrative control over revenue collection. These reforms greatly increased the income of Bengal and made the province economically stronger. In 1704, Murshid Quli Khan shifted the capital of Bengal from Dhaka to Murshidabad, which was named after him. Under this rule, Murshidabad developed from a major center of administration, banking, developed into a major center of banking, administration, trade, and silk production. It soon became one of the richest cities of India and attracted Indian and European merchants. Although Murshid Quli Khan formally accepted the authority of the Mughal emperor, he gradually established practical independence in Bengal because the Mughal Empire was weakening after Aurangzeb's death. Thus, he laid the foundation of the semi-independent Nawab rule in Bengal, which later continued under rulers such as Alivardi Khan and Sirajud-Dowlah. Okay, so Murshid Quli Khan is very important, and he is laying the foundation of Murshidabad, which became the capital in 1704 when he shifted the capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad. Dhaka to Murshidabad. And Murshid Quli Khan's used to be a revenue officer under the Mughal, under the Aurangzeb, and he was able to gain a lot of trust of Aurangzeb, so he was made the Diwan of Bengal by Aurangzeb, and his primary responsibility was revenue administration and financial management of the province. So this is how much Aurangzeb trusted him, that Aurangzeb made him responsible for revenue administration and financial management, so which is like the most important thing that a king can do, right? So that's how much trust Aurangzeb had on him. Okay, moving on. Ziauddin Varani wrote his chronicle first in 1356 and another version dash years later. This is a very tough question, not easy at all. Most of the people will have no idea about it. So don't worry if you don't remember. The Answer is actually 8. 8 years later. Ziauddin Barani first wrote his famous chronicle in 1356 and prepared another version. Voice is still there, right? Huh. So Ziauddin Barani first wrote his famous chronicle in 1356 and prepared another version 8 years later. Barani was one of the most important historian and political thinkers of the Delhi Sultanate period. He lived during the 14th century and closely observed the political and administrative development of the Delhi Sultanate. Because he spent time in the royal court and interacted with nobles and rulers, his writings became valuable historical sources for medieval Indian history. Barani is known for his writing Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, one of the most important chronicles of Delhi Sultanate period. In this work, he described the reign of several rulers, especially Balban, Alauddin Khilji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, Firoz Shah Tughlaq. So, what is Barani mostly known for? Barani is known for writing Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi, and Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi is basically about the life of Firoz Shah. But he is not only writing about Firoz Shah, he is writing about all the rulers that have actually ruled by that time. And those rulers are Balban, Khilji, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and then comes Firoz Shah Tughlaq. The chronicle contains detailed information about administration, military organization, economic, taxation, nobility, court politics, rebellion, and governance. Historians use Barani's work extensively to understand the functioning of Delhi Sultanate. Barani also wrote Fatwa-e-Jahandari, which discussed the political theory, kingship, administration, and duties of the rulers according to the understanding of Islamic political ideals. Although Barani's writings are extremely valuable, historians also note that he often wrote with personal biases and strong religious views. Therefore, his accounts are studied carefully along with other historical sources. Thus, Ziauddin Barani became one of the most significant chronicles of the medieval Indian history, and his work remains major source for understanding the Delhi Sultanate period. Ziauddin Barani wrote in 1356 what? Tariq-e-Firoz. And after 8 years, he will write another version. 8. 8 is the answer, but don't worry. This level of technical question is mostly not asked. If it is asked, you can leave it. It's okay. No problem. Next. The Paramhans Mandali was established to work for the abolition of caste in which year? Paramhans Mandali. In 1840. The Paramhans Mandali was established in 1840 as one of the earliest socio-religious reform organizations in Western India to organize against caste discrimination and social inequality. The organization emerged during the 19th century, a period when Indian society was witnessing the rise of reform movements influenced by modern education, rationalism, and contact with the Western ideas. At that time, rigid caste practices, untouchability, and social restriction dominated many parts of Indian society. Reform-minded individuals began questioning these orthodox traditions and sought political change. The Paramhans Mandali was founded mainly in Maharashtra and functioned secretly because its reformist ideas faced strong opposition from conservative society. Members of the organization believed in the equality of all human rights and opposed the rigid caste hierarchy that divided the society into higher and lower groups. The founder of Paramhans Mandali was Dadoba Pandurang, an important 19th century reformer or social reformer from Maharashtra. He established the organization around 1840 with the aim of challenging the caste discrimination and promoting social equality in Indian society. During this period, the caste divisions and untouchability were deeply rooted in Indian society. The orthodox social customs strongly controlled social life. Dadoba Pandurang believed that these practices created inequality and prevented social progress. Influenced by the modern education, rational thought, and liberal reformist ideas, he began advocating social reform and human equality. Under his leadership, the Paramhans Mandali became one of the earliest organization anti-caste reform group in Western India. Because of its ideas were considered controversial by Orthodox society, organization often functioned secretly. Members opposed rigid caste barriers and encouraged social interaction and interdining among people belonging to different castes. This is Paramhans Mandali. Remember that Mandali is being founded by Dadoba Pandurang in 1840. This is the most important thing. Dadoba Pandurang, 1840. Okay, the name Dadoba Pandurang is very important. Don't confuse him with Atmaram Pandurang because Atmaram Pandurang is doing Prarthana Samaj, that is different. Paramhans Mandali is Dadoba Pandya. Okay, and they are primarily working for the abolition of caste. As you can see, doing they are doing interdining, these customs and all they are doing, right? So they are working on to abolish caste system. They are making their own efforts, but again, it is extremely hard to get rid of caste because the thing has been created over thousands of years, right? This has been created after thousands and thousands of years of um, it is a very ancient custom, so it will be very hard to get rid of it. Hopefully we get rid of it. Hopefully we make a society in a manner where caste is not considered any way important, but it will take a lot of time. Next, in 1873 the Satya Sodhak Samaj was established in. So Satya Sodhak Samaj is actually established by Jyotiba Phule. And where is Jyotiba Phule active? Jyotiba Phule is active in Bombay. So Bombay Presidency. Bombay Presidency does not mean the current day Mumbai. Bombay Presidency at that point of time was the whole of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Goa, everything that was Bombay Presidency. So when I say Bombay Presidency, don't think I'm talking about Mumbai. Mumbai though is a very small city. Bombay at that point of time, the presidency used to be the whole many states. There only used to be at that point of time four presidencies, as far as I can remember. One is Bombay Presidency, the other is Bihar Presidency, the other is Madras Presidency. Then there is Bengal Presidency that they have written is Bihar province. The Bengal Presidency was whole of Bengal, whole of Bihar, Assam, no, many parts of Northeast. Then there was United Province. The United Province was the whole of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, a lot of parts of Madhya Pradesh, north part of Madhya Pradesh, Delhi, everything used to come there, right? And then there was Punjab province, and the Punjab province was humongous. There was the whole of Punjab that is there in India, whole of Punjab that is there in Pakistan. Half of Pakistan is Punjab, by the way. Then it also had Himachal, Haryana, parts of Jammu. It used to be humongous. Some parts of Rajasthan probably. So it used to be really massive. Okay. So Satyashodak Samaj was basically founded in Bombay Presidency by Jyotiba Phule. The Satyashodak Samaj was established in 1873 in the Bombay Presidency by Jyotirao Phule. The organization was founded in the region of present-day Maharashtra, which at that time formed parts of Bombay Presidency under British rule. The term Satyashodak Samaj means Society of the Truth Seekers. This organization was created to challenge caste discrimination, social inequality and untouchability, and the dominance of upper caste in society. Jyotirao Phule believed that lower caste and oppressed communities had been socially exploited for centuries because of the rigid caste hierarchy and lack of education. Through the Satyashodak Samaj, Phule worked on social equality, education for lower caste, women's education, upliftment of marginalized community, and opposition to Brahmanical dominance. The organization rejected blind rituals and expensive religious ceremonies controlled by the priest. It promoted simple marriage ceremonies without Brahmin priest and encouraged rational social reforms. The Satyashodak Samaj became one of the earliest organized anti-caste movement in modern India and played a major role in awakening social consciousness among oppressed communities in Western India. Its ideas later influenced many social justice and anti-caste movement in India. So this is Satyashodak Samaj. Satyashodak Samaj. Satyashodak Samaj is being founded in Bombay Presidency, and it is being founded by Jyotirao Phule. Jyotirao Phule. Jyotirao Phule. Okay. Satyashodak Samaj. Society of Truth Seekers. अरे यार क्या हाँ अब ठीक है. Society of Truth Seekers. Moving on. Who among the following was the founder of the Kanwa dynasty? Kanwa dynasty. The founder of the Kanwa dynasty is none other than Vasudev Kanva. Vasudev Kanva. Vasudev Kanva was the founder of the Kanva dynasty. The Kanva dynasty was established right after the decline of Shunga dynasty, and Shunga dynasty was founded right after the decline of Maurya dynasty, and Maurya dynasty was founded right after the decline of Nanda dynasty. Many decline happening. The Kanva dynasty was established right after the decline of Shunga dynasty. Vasudev Kanva overthrew the last Shunga ruler Devabhuti. Remember this name, bhai. Very important name. It has been asked many times. So Vasudeva Kanva overthrew the last Shunga ruler Devabhuti and founded the Kanva dynasty at around 75 BCE. The Kanva rules mainly end the parts of Magad and continued several administrative traditions of the earlier dynasties. However, their rule was extremely short-lived and lasted for only about 45 years before they were replaced by the Satavahanas. Who were the Kanvas, by the way? The Kanvas were a post-Mauryan ruling dynasty that succeeded the Shunga dynasty in the Magad during the late 1st century BCE. Although their rule was extremely short-lived, the Kanva formed an important link in the political history of the northern India during the period after the decline of the Mauryan Empire. The dynasty was founded in 75 BCE by Vasudev Kanva, who was originally a minister in the court of last Shunga ruler Devabhuti. So he was the minister in the court of Devabhuti, and as soon as he got the chance, he toppled Devabhuti and he established the Kanva dynasty. According to historical tradition and Puranic accounts, the Shunga kingdom had weakened significantly by this time. The Devabhuti was considered an ineffective ruler. Taking advantage of this political decline, Vasudev overthrew him and established the Kanva dynasty. The Kanvas ruled mainly over Magad and parts of central India. Their capital remained Patliputra, which had previously served as the capital of the Mauryas and the Shungas. Though the Kanvas did not control a vast empire like the Mauryas, they maintained political authority in the Gangetic region during a period marked by the fragmentation and the rise of the regional kingdom. So, the Kanvas did not control a vast empire like the Mauryas, but they maintained a political authority in the Gangetic region, which during a period marked by the fragmentation and rise of the regional kingdoms. The rulers of the Kanva dynasty were Brahmins by origin and considered important for continuing Brahminical political tradition after the Shungas. Shungas were also Brahmins, by the way. Okay. Their rule reflects the broader transformation taking place in India after the collapse of the centralized imperial authority. When the several regional dynasties emerged across the different parts of the subcontinent, the Kanva dynasty had 4 rulers: Vasudev, the founder, then Bhumimitra, then Narayan, and the Susharman. Among them, Vasudev Kanda, the founder and the most important ruler, because he established the dynasty after the overthrowing the Shungas. The last ruler, Susharman, was eventually defeated by Satavahanas, which expanded northward from Deccan. Satavahanas actually started in the Deccan. What is the Deccan region? The Maharashtra and the Madhya Pradesh region. They started in the Deccan region and then they expanded in the north. Their defeat brought an end to the Kanva rule. An end to the Kanvas. Moving on. Which of the following pair of rulers ruling period is correctly matched? Sher Shah Suri, Akbar, which is correctly matched? So, as we have discussed, Sher Shah Suri defeated Humayun in 1540 and he ruled for 15 years. Yes, that seems to be correct. Babur defeated Hemu in 1556 and ruled till 1605. Yes, he did. He did defeat Hemu in 1556 and ruled till 1605. So Sher Shah Suri ruled from 1540 to 1545 while Akbar ruled from 1556 to 1605. Therefore, both period pairs given in the question are correct. Sher Shah Suri came to power after defeating Humayun and established the Sur Empire in the north. Although his reign lasted only 5 years, he became one of the most efficient administrators in the medieval Indian history. He recognized the revenue system, improved administration. He reorganized the revenue system, improved administration, strengthened military organizations. and developed the roads and communication networks, as we have already discussed. He developed Sadak-e-Azam, which was the grand truck road of that time, Sadak-e-Azam, from Bengal to Peshawar. He he renovated and extended the Grand Trunk Road connecting important regions of the empire and established sarais, Mughal sarai and many sarais. What does the sarai mean? Sarai is a resting house. Established sarais for travelers along major routes. Here Sher Shah Suri also introduced a silver coin called rupiah that is used till date, which later became the foundation of the modern rupee system. After the decline of Sur Empire, Humayun briefly regained the Mughal throne, but after his death in 1556, his son became the Mughal Empire. But he did not become Mughal Empire normally. He had to go on a war at the age of 14 against Hemchandra Vikramaditya, and Hemchandra Vikramaditya was the chosen ruler of Afghan. Mughals and the Afghans were always clashing. Ibrahim Lodi was first defeated by Ibrahim Lodi is a Mughal. Sorry, Ibrahim Lodi is an Afghan, and first he is being defeated by Babur. Babur is a Mughal. Then Afghans are gathering under the leadership of Sher Shah Suri. They defeat. Then Sher Shah Suri defeats Humayun. So Afghans are again defeating the Mughals. Then Sher Shah Suri dies. There is a power vacuum. What will happen? Sher Shah Suri was a Afghan. So Hemchandra Vikramaditya will be sort of uh, put there as a de facto. They will try that he should be put there as a de facto ruler, but the Mughal ruler Humayun will be able to capture the throne. But then when the Humayun will die, then again Hemu will be declared the leader by Afghans, and Afghan will again try to capture the throne. But by that time, Akbar is 14 years old, and under the leadership of his prime minister, he will go on a war against Hemu, and he will defeat Hemu, and he will become the ruler of Delhi. So Akbar ruled from 1556 to 1605 and transformed the Mughal state into one of the most powerful empires in Indian history. During his reign, the Mughal Empire expanded greatly across north and central India. Akbar is remembered for his administrative reforms, centralized governance, military organization, and policy of religious tolerance. He introduced the Mansabdari system for administration and military ranking and promoted the idea of Sulh-e-Kul, meaning universal peace, tolerance among different religious communities. So that is Akbar the Great. Okay. So we'll carry on with other questions in the next session. I hope you're liking it. See you after a few hours. Okay. Bye.